And my dog is chewing something. Hello, everybody. So we are here with the Gauntlet, and we're going to be playing SWvM versus Moonicorn by Johnstone Metzger. Amazing game. I love playing it, love running it. We're going to be using his quick start play, which is, I think, a brilliant idea. It takes a lot of what the full campaign version and it condenses it down so you could do it in just a few short sessions and still get the entire feel of the game. This will be the epic battle between SWvM and Moonicorn. And I say epic battle because in a lot of ways they're in opposition. Same time, we're going to be going up against these fronts, and SWvM and Moonicorn may find reasons they need to work together. They may not believe the same things, but on occasion, it may be best for both their goals if they kind of agree on some things. We'll see how that goes. I want to start off by saying that this is a Gauntlet game. We have the Gauntlet inclusivity policy, which says that all of us should feel comfortable and should enjoy the game. We don't want to have any sort of situations where we feel like, this is taking away from my fun for playing. I don't want this. And part of that is using the X card. If you have not used it before, if something gets problematic, then or if something is, just hits you the wrong way, you're not comfortable in what we're doing, please feel free to use it. You can X up on the screen. You can put something in chat. You can say, hey, Tyler, that's bothering me. I'd like to X card that. It's no problem. In fact, I hope and want you all to feel completely safe using it. What we'll do, I may clarify where we're talking about, and we'll rewind, reframe, and off you go. I have wanted to include something because I read a thing about it. And of course, with the X card, you have no obligation to explain anything about it. However, if there is something you'd like to say, to kind of, share why you want to do this, you can also feel free with that. We're all here. It's a safe space. We can all talk to each other. So feel free if you have that need, say why. But if not, no questions asked. We rewind. We frame again. So please feel free to use it. Does not, it is meant to be a safety tool for us all. So it is, please feel free to use it. Now, we were coming to our characters that we have, and I'm going to start and kind of go up the line until we see what all our characters we've sort of decided on. And I'm going to start with you, Ryan. What character have you decided on to play with us tonight?
I'm going to be Moonicorn.
Excellent. Our symbol of freedom and light in the galaxy. Ellen, who will you be playing?
I will be playing the SWvM.
Our tyrant and most powerful being in the galaxy.
That's me.
And Lou, who will you be playing?
I am playing the Alien Queen. I'm planning on being some weird, sexy, giant ant creature.
Love it. Love it. And it's such a neat playbook. And by the way, it's based off of Johnstone kind of made this game because he was honestly filling in while a Second Skins of Monster Heart was going on. And so if you look at the Alien Queen, it is based very heavily off the Queen from Monster Hearts. A lot of the moves are actual like tape right-overs expanded into this game, which is kind of cool. And another big shout out to Johnstone. And Lauren, who you decided to play this evening?
I have one question, which is, what tone are we going for? Is it going to be more Gonzo adventure time, or is it going to be more like interpersonal drama time?
That's a wonderful question. I'll kind of start, and we can narrow some things down and get an idea of what we're all, really wanting to enjoy out of the game. I don't want it to be completely Gonzo. I want it to not just devolve into complete silliness. That said, I don't think it has to go into a super dark and all horribly intense sort of thing either. That I can go for it. I love to give some body horror and to make some awful things. And everybody should be able to edit now. You may have to reload. Sorry about that. But that's, as long as we don't get too silly, I'm pretty happy. Are there some things folks would like to see out of our style? Ryan, have you got a kind of a feel for what you want out of this?
I don't know. I think I'm probably on at least mostly the same wavelength as you because I don't want it to be totally goofy, although like playing a unicorn in space is all of my childhood dreams combined, so there will probably be some sparkles and rainbows.
That's perfectly fine. Ellen, anything in tone that you would like to push towards or would rather avoid going into?
Yeah, I really like the idea of being able to have a bit of fun, but I'm playing like an evil tyrant. I want to like capture some of that darkness in there and, you know, bend people toward my will.
All right. So you do want to see those aspects of that SpaceWorm is doing some pretty awful things.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, bring it on.
Cool.
If that's all right with everyone.
Yeah, is that we'll continue on. Lou, what are your thoughts for tone? What is something you wouldn't, you'd love to push for or you'd rather not see?
Well, I guess as I was looking at it, there's some very obvious like Star Wars-ish, Star Wars stuff in there. So I guess like I was kind of thinking it as being a bit space opera-y. But I mean, that has some pretty like strong like stuff in it.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's semi like, the whole Jabba and Leia thing's pretty messed up when you actually think about it as an adult. But yeah,
it killed a whole school full of kids.
Yeah, that sort of thing, yeah. And I don't know, I was kind of like, I was trying not to make backstory for my Aunt Queen thing, but like evil empires and strange aliens, there's often like, like attempted genocide of entire races. I mean, they destroy an entire planet of people, in Star Wars. So I'm kind of picturing that. Like it's fun and adventurous, but there's like, bad things happen to people.
So there are some high stakes.
Yeah, I've always thought Luke Skywalker probably should have freaked out a lot more when his aunt and uncle were burnt to death, but he's just like, oh, well, guess it's time for an adventure in space now. Off I go.
I agree. I perfectly see where you're coming from. And Lauren, here on tone, something you'd like to push towards your
Yeah, that helps heaps. I mean, I think I'm good either way. I asked, and this has been super helpful because I think like if I take Space Wizard, I feel like the Space Wizard is revolved around like magic and conjuring things and that sort of thing. So I think that lends more towards like your Star Wars-y, adventure-y like kind of tone. And then I think the Lovers takes more down toward like the space opera, like interpersonal drama, like I love so and so, but they're in love with someone else or someone else is fascinated by me kind of thing. So I think like I just feel like the character I pick is gonna have a major influence on sort of the direction we take. So I wanted to make sure everyone like I was on everyone's page.
Lauren, like how could you not go for a Lover playbook? Like you could make it up to so many people.
So many people.
There is the Lover is super neat, and of course you're in love with SpaceWorm and with Moonicorn is the lovely juxtaposition of the lovers.
Yeah, maybe okay. Who am I kidding? Yeah, I'll take the Lovers. Let's go for like an interpersonal space opera drama. That's what I really want in life.
I was going to say, do you really think we're going to play a game with no interpersonal drama?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
This is conveniently that's already set up in the character keeper because I had already put the Lovers there. So you're filling in things.
Awesome.
Well, cool.
We're totally playing Jupiter Ascending now, by the way, in my mind.
Awesome. Okay. So we're going to we've kind of gotten our who we're going to play as playbooks, and I want to go over just real quick an idea of we're playing in a way archetypes. You're going to then be able to define and describe down what they're like. The Lover is an archetype. You're going to make it into a specific thing, a person, all real and true. And that's true for, even someone like SpaceWorm or for Moonicorn. It's your interpretation. Don't feel you have to be a super. You don't have to play a giant worm floating through space. You can color it however you want. But if you want to be a giant worm floating through space, that's cool too. So along with that, we're going to start off by SpaceWorm, and I will be saying often, we will start off with SpaceWorm because as the most powerful creature in the world, I often start with SpaceWorm. But SpaceWorm, you see your first move there. And this is before we start defining our fronts. SpaceWorm, who is our tyrant, is going to decide there 2 sectors of society that you control. And I'm going to give a quick description of those fronts at this point. We have, let's see, let me put these to the side and pull the others up. And if you wish to, in the book, you can turn and you can kind of have a rundown starting on page 116. And you can just post that up there. I'll give a description now. We'll go through the fronts. I'll give you the pages as we're going through them when we get to those. But our fronts are aliens, which also, by the way, if you wanted to look at them on our NPCs and places section, I have listed all the fronts there, and we'll add notes and who controls them into it. But aliens is going to refer to any intelligent life that is neither human nor a man-made machine, meaning that it can be, could be uplifted animals that now are intelligent. It could be whole new species from other planets. It can be, its idea is that these are people who are different than and away from humanity. And that is a front we can have. And if SpaceWorm chooses this as their front, they will be in control of all of the aliens and will define them down. But that's what our alien front is things that aren't human and that are therefore, a lot of times this is used as a kind of example of that, the outsider, some even use it as going into hegemonic norms, such as those that are colored or foreign or disabled or poor or queer. All of these things can get put into as a substitute idea into the alien. It's these that have been ostracized and marginalized. We also have cybernetics, which are super interesting. And these are machines with the minds of men, computers, bionics, robotics. All of these sorts of things will fall into the category of cybernetics. And it goes into AIs that, can be full-on people, except they're still the machine. And if SpaceWorm controls this, SpaceWorm has complete control of all the cybernetics in the galaxy in one form or another. They are on SpaceWorm's side. If not, we will be in deciding who controls and who has kind of a power, a front on that. The Imperial Throne, which is the galaxy's government that is unified. And this is someone sitting on the throne who is either, if SpaceWorm chooses it, is either a puppet of SpaceWorm. SpaceWorm can choose to be the emperor of the galaxy, if that's what they'd like to be. If they don't control it, then we'll have an emperor and this central bureaucracy and government. But somehow, and we'll define how, SpaceWorm is still greater than it. SpaceWorm is still the most dominant factor in the galaxy. But we have this Imperial Throne, which could be, underpowered or has been, marginalized to the point where it, doesn't really control the planets anymore. Or SpaceWorm, just it has the biggest fleets or whatever. But the Imperial Throne is a front out there that for us to deal with. We also have interstellar transport. And it sounds like we're wanting a space opera. Interstellar transport is a front where it's the ability to go interstellar trips, the ability to manage to make a galaxy-spanning civilization still have communication. Should SpaceWorm control it, they have complete ability to cut off interstellar travel, or they can use the interstellar travelways to do the magnificent, jumping from place to place with hardly any effort. We'll define it down when we define the front into whether we want stargates or teleportation or hyperdrives or whatever we want. If we choose not to have interstellar transport in the game, and we'll come to things we're going to leave out in a minute, then it would mean we would be in a stellar situation where we only have moving around in one solar system. Doesn't sound exactly like what we want, so we're probably going to leave it in. But that is the other side of should it be left out. We don't have those big jumps. And we'll define it down as well. Then we have religion. And I wanted to bring up to start here, if there is anyone, Johnstone does a pretty good job of talking about religions in a non-religious fashion. It is not pro or con religion in either way. And in fact, in a lot of ways, it kind of slants towards religion when it talks about cults, or it talks about whole galaxy-spanning monotheisms, or taking it on down to where it's just every planet has their own and they all have thousands of gods on them. We'll define what it is, but should SWvM have chosen to take it, SWvM is then the head of the religion of our galaxy and would have sort of control over it. If we leave it out, then it just means we're not going to be addressing religion as a huge galaxy-spanning thing, and it'll just not be in the game. If someone would like to say right off the bat, I don't like religion, I understand that. That's one of the things I think, you know, I'm pretty good about saying, you know, I could see people wanting to nix that one. But as it is, I think it's interesting. He does a good job with it. So if we don't have objections, that's one of the fronts that will be in. And then the final one is the secret police, which is that dark and black operative sort of front where we have spies and we have a whole structure that is there to keep an eye on what the populations are doing, perhaps come in and kidnap or nab people, set up sting operations, keep, you know, this, I like to think of like the Psi Corps from Babylon 5, or, you know, even something as mundane as like the FBI or CIA, where you're dealing with people that are able to root out secrets about you and have a great deal of control over the population. Should SWvM happen to control this, it means SWvM has the secret police in their back pocket and thereby has all of this ability to spy on the population and such like and so on. And those are our fronts. It sounds like by necessity, we have to have the aliens as a front because we have an alien queen. They do say that, you know, if we come into something where to be able to play a playbook, you probably should say, okay, this is going to be included. But to start off with, Ellen, are there two of those you would like control over, with one of them should not be the aliens because we have an alien PC?
Yes. Does anyone have any objections about religion being one of my playthings?
Go for gold.
You can be SWvM Pope if you want.
Yeah, no.
Space Pope. Okay, so I'll stop. I'll not make any references to the Space Pope being reptilian then.
Space Pope.
Space Pope.
Yeah. And the other one I'm interested in playing around with is interstellar transit.
Excellent. All right, then. So I'm going to go into our NPCs and places on our character keeper, and I'm going to put down... Oh, I missed one. I'm so sorry. Spice. I did not get to Spice because it's only one page. And
it's so tempting to be a worm that controls Spice, but...
I know. Let me explain it real quick, and I am so sorry I missed that because it is pretty important. Spice is not per se like Dune Spice. Spice, for our purposes, is something the galaxy has to have. It's something that is ubiquitous to the galaxy, even if people don't quite realize it. It could be that we played in another game where there was a drug that humans had to take to adapt to being in space. It made your organs and everything keep you able to handle high G and different environments as you went through space. But at the same time, it also opened up your mind to having visions. It can be, you know, for like Spice, for interstellar travel. It can be as though it were a like multimedia where people just have to have their, you know, their ability to watch the TV shows, or it is something that without it, the galaxy will start to collapse. and we'll define it down in play. But I'm sorry I had forgotten that front. So, Ellen, you think you want to stick with then playing interstellar travel and with religion? Is that right?
Yes, I'm happy with those ones.
Excellent.
And I have already thought about the ones that SWvM gets to cross off.
Alrighty, if you'd like to go ahead and do that.
Say goodbye to cybernetics and secret police.
Alrighty, so we have no advanced robots or droids or AIs. That's a cool thing to take out. I have no problem there. And if anybody wants to lobby for, oh my God, I was hoping for blah, blah, feel free. All right, so I'm putting in SWvM for, there it is, for religion and for interstellar transport. And I'm taking out secret police, just putting an X in that, and cybernetics, just putting an X in that. And now we're going to build our fronts. Set these to the side. And we're going to start with aliens. So, if you want to, page 16, we could look there. And you'll see it has that kind of little intro I told you about when we started. And if SWvM controls the aliens, they're all under your authority. But as it is, you do not control all the aliens. That's going to be controlled by or at least the front is going to be handled by the alien queen. So if you'll see there, if SWvM does not control the aliens. Looking down there, you'll see that we're going to mark some roles that the aliens play. And we're going to choose 2 or more. So we could have every one of them apply. Don't know if that's the wisest choice, but we can. And since you, Lou, have the alien queen, you get the chance to mark all those things that you think they're going to have as roles.
I was thinking, I think there's just 2, which are trade partners.
All right.
And I think I kind of like, what does Cold War standoff mean to you?
In my thoughts, just opening up to me, is that we have some sort of detente where the aliens and since this is not one SWvM controls the aliens and the rest of the galaxy tend to be hostile, but at the same time, they're not in open war. It's going to have that feel of exchanging ambassadors, but we know we're on kind of an opposite ideas of what we want. We still have self-interests of the human galaxy as compared to the alien galaxy. That's how I think of Cold War. Does anyone else have thoughts that they might want to interject on Cold War? Ryan or Lauren?
I was kind of thinking a little bit that potentially my my brood and me are potential potential nuclear weapons. Like if people were vying over like my attentions in terms of using me, using them as a weapon. That's what it was making me think of, but I don't know. I
That's
like
pretty
it.
cool.
Yeah, because I just thought that might be a fun place to position myself and my brood as something that needs their favor, needs to be won or something.
Okay, that's excellent. So Cold War standoff, meaning in this instance, aliens are an extremely powerful factor that can be used or can be bribed, negotiated with, brought in to help one side or another and things.
Yeah, and it would make a major difference in whatever conflict is going to happen.
All right, then. Well, if we'll look down to where it says alien questions, what we're going to do, the way I don't think we're going to ask every single question here. But what I would like to do is have, since Moonicorn gets to set up no fronts at all, unfortunately, I think I'm going to have 2 questions. 2 questions for the player that runs them, and then I'm going to have 1 question that Moonicorn gets to answer. So, Lou, if you'll look down those questions, I'm going to have you pick one and answer it. Kind of how, any one of those, you answer it, and that's going to be the truth of our aliens. Then I'll have Ryan, you do one from Moonicorn, and then Lou will have you do one more, and that'll be our setup for these aliens.
Who is the most powerful race in the galaxy? Is it humans or some type of alien species? Yeah, perhaps I'll make myself super powerful, or the potential to be powerful. I mean, I do have like a brood of 6 to 12 creatures, so like I'm obviously not like at the height of my. I'm kind of thinking of myself as a fledgling queen, maybe. So this is like, I think it's potential power. Like there's the potential for us to be the most powerful race in the galaxy.
Okay, so we're going to say that your species is the potential to be the most powerful. Okay.
Let's call them ants.
The ants. All right. March of the ants. Okay. Potential most powerful. And that sets up our first question, and I may come back and inquire a bit deeper about that from you as we get our second question. Ryan, what would you like to answer there?
Where are these questions? Because I've been trying to find them. And
I'm sorry, 118. In the main book, have you opened up the main book?
I had it open, but it looks like I must have lost that tab somewhere. So give me a second to find it again.
No problem. I think this is sounding very interesting, these very dangerous ant aliens out there. I'm interested to know, once we get these questions down, what the whole of alien kind looks like.
Come on, Google Drive, stop fighting me.
Mine will do the same thing, especially if I've got stuff running. It can be so bitchy.
Do you want me to tell you some of the questions, Ryan?
Yeah, I found it now.
Cool.
One of the questions is, how much has your character interacted with aliens? Does that mean aliens beyond you, or?
That would then start us opening up. Are the ants the only aliens out there? Are there myriad aliens? And we'll, start being able to fill that out.
I'll ask a similar one then. How many types of aliens are there, or only one, or many?
And so you get to answer that question.
Oh no! I wanted to see what Lou was going to say. Heck.
You can lobby to find out what Lou thinks, but you're choosing one of these and getting to answer it, and it'll be true.
Oh, true. Lauren's reminding me that if she's going to be a sexy group, we have to have at least more than one kind of alien. So, I'm going to say that there are many kinds of aliens. Lou, that is a terrible pun. How dare you? Answer it.
So we have many. Excellent. And
like SWvM and I probably aren't even the same species. There's aliens all over the place.
Very cool. Very cool. And so back to you, Lou. Choose one of these questions and answer it. It'll be the truth for our galaxy.
How are aliens treated by humans? How are the aliens? I'm going to answer, what prevents humans and aliens from interacting? What brings them together?
All righty.
I think maybe it's just territorialism. Like there's a lot of suspicion, and people don't want weird softy humans turning up and taking over their planets. Pinky, browny, squishy things. What brings them together? Food.
Okay, so you think that like food is one of these commonalities all across the galaxy that
yeah.
Okay.
It's for some reason everybody loves everyone else's food. It's that kind of thing, like how people can be heaps racist but still really like eating all different sorts of delicious food from different countries.
Excellent. Okay. Maybe you like to be watered by something special there, Lauren.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Well, we've gotten down kind of a early base, so I'm going to kind of narrow this down. So we've discovered there's a bunch of alien races out there. Moonicorn, are you human? Are you an alien race?
I think I am an alien race because I totally want to go for the single horn option because, yes, leaning way into being a unicorn.
Wonderful. Okay, so Mooney is an alien themselves. All right. What prevents humans and aliens from interacting? Is this territorialism? Is it, do we figure that, Lou, do you think the aliens and humans and each of these alien species have encountered each other for a long time and have built up these borders over a great deal of time? Or is space transport new enough that they're just now encountering each other?
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of it being early on in the stage of, maybe some of the alien races, there's little pockets where a couple of them have been interacting for a long time, but in terms of everything all being like open up. Like, also, can I briefly expand my answer to the food one and say it's like cultural things, so it's like music and food and dance and that sort of thing that everyone's kind of fascinated in how everyone else does that.
Excellent.
Because then the tree person can get something out of it as well.
I'm flexible. I can have my tree person eat and drink. What's this being silly?
I guess so.
Okay, so that sounds really cool then. So our idea is that fairly early on in interaction between aliens and humans and all these just now starting to encounter each other over the last, somewhere 100 years or 50 years, fairly recent. And because it's new, we're trading off, delicacies from each race, and culture is spreading because, of course, people are super interested. I mean, like if aliens showed up here on Earth, we'd be all over about what their TV is like. Do you have reality TV? Everybody should have reality TV. Ellen has rejoined us. And we've set that up, and we're talking about that down here with are humans the most powerful race? Are aliens the most powerful race? We have the idea that, Lou, your ants are kind of seen as this dangerous potential, world-shattering or, universe-altering power. Do we feel like that's something in general that aliens, because they're sort of unknown and haven't encountered each other much, there's all this potential for them to rise up and have secrets that others don't have? Or you think it's some sort of special for yours?
I had this little idea maybe that because I'm interacting with the ideas of my playbook and thinking of being like an ant queen sort of thing, I seem to have a depressingly small brood. So I think maybe I've got an idea that maybe the first war or whatever was with there's my kind of species, and perhaps they were beaten, but now there's this maybe I'm the only little brood left or something.
Excellent.
Along those lines. Does that sound fun? Or I'm not super attached to that. Yeah, so they're formidable, but I'm quite a small, like, nest, maybe a bit of a secret kind of nest or something. Yeah.
Okay. And you think you're the only one left of your kind? Is this the idea? There's not some other big queen off in another part of the galaxy?
Yeah, I like that idea. I think, yeah, I'm like the last queen.
Ooh, I like that too. All right, then. So we've kind of set up our aliens here. Sounds like we've got a good idea of what the galaxy feels like. With, we have myriad alien types, and we could go to cool planets where we invent new aliens. And that, in the page following, we could have that when we go over making new aliens. But for now, I think we've fulfilled the alien playbook. And we're going to do next, cybernetics are out, so I'm going to pull them from my list. Boop. And we're going to do Imperial Throne next, which is not one that SpaceWorm controls, which means we kind of need to decide who we think fulfills that role most, as kind of a PC that will get a chance to dictate a little bit of what they're like. Lauren, do you feel that you are in any way sort of close to the Imperial Throne? The other one that y'all will have to design is Spice. So do you feel closer to the Spice, or do you feel closer to the Imperial Throne?
Remind me what the Imperial Throne is again?
The Imperial Throne is a massive, galaxy-wide spanning some sort of government. Now, again, it's not going to be on the power level of SpaceWorm, because SpaceWorm is the most powerful thing in the galaxy. But somewhere there's maybe this ancient imperial seat that once kind of bound people together, or maybe there's a council that's come together of all the aliens and that have, so that they can cooperate with the humans. It's some sort of overarching governmental force interacting with the galaxy.
Ooh. Yeah, I know. I'd love the idea of Senator Groot. Yeah, I think that works super well with the character I had in mind, because I kind of had in mind this very kind of like ageless, petrified kind of organic tree person. So the fact that we don't have cybernetics perhaps like lends itself to the Imperial force being one of kind of natural beings.
Okay.
Who sort of advocate for like organic life rather than constructed life, perhaps.
Very cool.
I'm not sure.
Well, we can define down some things about it then if you're going to control it. So since you are in control of it, you're going to pick, and this is on page 167.
167. Cool.
And if everybody'd like to look, we see there that we have several resources that we're going to rate from average, strong, or weak. And they are legal frameworks, as in how powerful are the laws that are laid down by this imperial seat, this unified government. How much do they handle market regulation? How much military power do they have? Do the people really support the idea of the Imperium? And revenue collection, do they go out there and get taxes well? Are they well funded? Now, you're going to pick 2 resources there, and you're going to rate them however you'd like. And then we're going to go through to the people to your right, which means that everybody else will get a chance to pick one of them and rate it. We must get to where we have 2 that are strong, 2 that are weak, and 1 that is average.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
So good.
I'm sorry. 2 that are strong. They can be anything. The others can be anything else you want. So we just need 2 that are strong. And, you could play, since it's going from your right, and that'll mean for me, it's going to go to Ryan, to Ellie, to Lou. And so you can kind of box people in if you're ahead of somebody that they'll have to choose strong if you want to be conniving and figure things.
Ooh. I don't know. I'm never conniving. I'm just like, what is the coolest fiction? What do I want these 3 people to be? I just love the idea. So I picked 2, right? And then
And keep in mind that this is just, you're associated with this front. It does not mean that your people are the only part of it. We're designing it with you getting the opportunity to kind of frame the world.
Awesome. For some reason, I'm kind of digging them being weak on revenue collection.
All right.
I feel like
Excellent.
Yeah. I don't want to explain it. I can't explain it. Trying not to think too much about my job right now.
What we'll do is we'll go ahead and just choose everything out, and then we'll come together and sort of decide what that means. And as the person who's in control of it, you kind of get final say when we all pitch things out. In the way he writes it, person controlling it kind of gets a veto for the idea, but it's you get to be that head negotiator and kind of make the final decision. So, all right.
And then I kind of I'm kind of digging average popular support as well.
Okay.
I think they're a bit of a divisive kind of power.
Maybe that's why they can't collect the funds as well, because nobody likes them anymore. Or hardly anyone likes them.
yeah. Which also sort of lends itself to why they've perhaps like faded into just like bland non-existence. Like no one super hated them, no one super loved them. It's like an archaic thing that, not archaic, but like it's a thing that was and is now no longer. And yeah.
And it gets dismissed and sort of looked down on. Oh, of course, there's the Empire, but we all know SWvM's the one running shit.
Yeah. SWvM's like the new person who's going to come and like really wreck shit up and for the good of everyone or whatever, or the bad of everyone or whatever we decide. If they're just doing something, that's what matters. It's their change.
Well, Ryan, you're in the very special position of you can choose something that's not strong and the other two will be strong, or you can decide to put your imprint on something that is strong so that we have that to find out. But you are open for weak, strong, or average in one of these.
Well, I'm going to jump on that grenade and say that there are strong legal frameworks, because the one thing they did really well was bureaucracy.
Excellent.
You read my mind.
Cool. And again, once we get them all settled, we'll come back and we'll define out what this thing is. So, goes to you then, Ellen. You get the choice of anything you want, strong, average, or weak, in market regulation and military power.
I want strong market regulation because I think that would play into my hands.
All right. So,
That
trade
is so
laws are
funny.
really in there.
Like they're so bad at collecting on revenue, but they care so much about the like regulating the market. That's just beautiful.
And so, Lou,
paying too many bureaucrats, maybe. That's why they need to get more revenue. They've just got too many bureaucrats to run it well.
or they could be really laissez-faire. The regulations say that no taxes or no tariffs are around, something like that. We'll come to it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Lou, military power. You want it strong, weak, or average? And again, this will play into how this imperial throne can push itself.
I wanted to say weak for military power, so I'm going to say strong instead.
I cannot argue with that logic.
You guys are all in my brain. Stop being in my brain.
All right, then. So we have a strong legal framework, strong market regulations, and a strong military power. Popular support is only average, and its revenue collection, despite all of these things, or maybe because of all of these things, is weak. So we're going to kind of define down what that means for us. And kind of get an idea of what this imperial seat is. So, since it is yours, Lauren, to kind of make those final decisions on, I'll let you board this this committee meeting, or lead this committee meeting, and ask out for folks opinions from folks.
Ooh, and this is directed. Does this anything in the book, or can I just?
You can just
answer those questions here.
No, what we're doing right now is just kind of going through what this means to give ourselves a little framework of. Well, yeah, honestly, we can use that. If you want to go, as we see the next pages, these might be very helpful in this. Why don't we go through the legal frameworks? And Lauren, or on my sheet here, it's 168, starting with legal frameworks. And Lauren, you can just ask questions out from folks to get their opinions, or you can make a statement yourself of the truth off the questions. And we'll do legal framework and go all the way down.
Oh my god, I'm so happy we have high legal framework, because this is totally my friggin' jam. I would like to.
And you can ask me, but you don't have to. I'm not going to. If you want me to take one of these questions, you can. But if not, that's perfectly fine too.
Ooh.
But you should ask each of the other players.
Okay, cool. Let's start kind of broad. Let's ask. I want to ask the alien queen, how profitable is the practice? Can I ask all these or just one of them?
You're going to ask one question to each of the players.
Okay.
And you're going to answer one yourself.
Okay, yeah. Alien queen, how much of a legal advantage does the imperial throne have?
I wonder if this is something the alien queen knows about at all.
And again, this is sort of
as a player. Yeah,
this is yours as a player.
Answer it as a player. I don't think my queen knows about lawyers. She hates lawyers. They're delicious. Yeah, I guess with the with all the market regulation and bureaucrats and stuff, I'm imagining that maybe it's very profitable to be a lawyer, and lawyers are, yeah, but I wonder maybe if it's not that expensive to employ them, like there's just heaps of lawyers and they make heaps of money because there's so much to do.
So it's a heavily litigious sort of thing where.
Yeah, it sounds to me like, you know how in families it's like, oh, your firstborn is X and your secondborn is Y and your thirdborn's like a priest or whatever, and you sort of work your way down like what your community needs.
Yeah,
so, like,
yeah.
I feel like
every family needs a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I don't think it's the whole like billable hours sort of thing. I think there's just so much for lawyers to do. Maybe they're in high demand and there's heaps for them to do, but it's not like they're not out of like reach for anyone to employ.
Yeah, it also sounds too like if there's an emphasis on legal frameworks, it's almost like they're writing their own jobs. So it's like, you know, that they've got an incentive to make sure that everything is very like regulated and formalized within a legal framework, because that's
and overly complicated, so only a lawyer can understand it, sort of thing. Like,
yeah,
that makes sense. So you like that, Lauren? Not vetoing that one?
I love all of this. Like I'm trying really hard not to just freak out a lot right now because this is amazing.
Cool. All right. So next question.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But the end of that question is also, how much legal advantage does the imperial throne have? That's still part of that same question.
The same question.
So Lou, do you think that the imperial throne has, in that legal system and with these lawyers, Did they get the advantage? Do court cases usually go to the imperial throne, or do they usually go to the people hiring their lawyers?
Yeah, I kind of feel like maybe they've buried themselves so massively in bureaucracy that they find it hard to get anything done. Maybe they just have the same amount of. Yeah, maybe it weighs more heavily on the people. Maybe because it just takes so long to get something done, it passes through so many different lawyers. Like I'm kind of thinking it like the way that computer science is now compared to in the 80s. Like someone used to be able to understand everything about computers in the 80s, and now like people can only understand tiny bits because it's so complicated. Maybe it's a bit like that. There's all like the different types of lawyers and stuff.
Nice.
I love that because it. Sorry, I think I'm doing a lot of talking.
It's okay.
I love it so much because having done a bit of law, it's like, where does your duty lie to? Does it lie to your client? Does it lie to the court? Or does it, like, where does that lie? And you've answered, it lies with the lawyers. Like, they don't have a particular duty to the court system to make sure justice is done. They aren't there to advocate for their clients. They're their own master, which is super neat.
I'm kind of thinking a bit like I was thinking about the Byzantine Empire and stuff, and how they had like that was their reputation for like just having impenetrable bureaucracy because they were the descendants of the Romans and stuff, I guess, and it just they'd been an empire for that long. Yeah, shit just got way out of control.
Wonderful. All right then. So we've answered one question out of blue. So. Like I say, I wanted us to have this deep dive into this world build because I think it's fun and it's going to add a lot to what we've got going on. And because I've got to then define down the problems we have with each of these three fronts that they're controlling. So it'll give me a lot to work with. So Lauren, who's your next question to?
Okay, this lane's, I know exactly what I'm going to ask because this is too juicy not to ask. Ryan, is the judiciary an independent body, a puppet organization, or just another face of the imperial throne?
Ooh.
I don't know. I think I'm going to say just another face of the imperial throne because I like the idea of them being best at bureaucracy and legal things to where that's what most people think of them as, the lawyers.
Oh, awesome. Wow, this is like a whole planet or whatever of lawyer jokes waiting to happen.
Okay, so when we put it into that, and we'll come around since we've got a couple more questions to ask, but it's starting to feel like while the imperial throne has little advantage in the courts, that it's just become this whole huge lawyer bureaucracy that's working for itself rather than helping the imperial throne. It's just loading itself to use the imperial throne through the courts. That's pretty cool.
Oh my god, that is so cool. Like that's pretty much how the British colonized New Zealand, was just through the courts.
The clever use of flags, as
idiots
would say.
Yes. No flag, no country.
Exactly. Oh no, we brought a flag. So next question, I believe, will be for Ellen.
Yeah.
Unless you want to answer one.
Ooh. No, this is a really good question. So, Ellen, we've kind of established that like there's a lot of bureaucracy and like the court system is quite prevalent throughout the society. But how common is litigation?
Oh,
yeah.
I like super common. So I think you go out for your weekly grocery shop, and then on the way home you pop into the court for your weekly litigation.
Okay.
Awesome.
And probably yeah, go ahead.
Oh my god. No, I love this so much because it means that like there's a lot of emphasis on bureaucracy and making sure things are done right, but it's also done very quickly, which can never go well.
I was just thinking of it as like lotto or something, you know, like you go into the shop and put your docket in and it pays out your like your litigation. You're like, oh, nice.
Or you have to put in extra dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think sorry. My blubbing's all this so much. Is that litigation like between sort of like individual to individual, or like individual to state, or state to individual? Like, are we suing our friends because we tripped over their cat down the path toward our spaceship?
I think the body of it is coming from the government, but because the government's so litigious that it's become a way of life, and so those everyday small things that the government pings you on, like, oh, you didn't have your mailbox shut. So
Gotcha.
On collection, yeah.
So
Totally.
then, like, that feeds in through society.
Kind of like the Chinese are doing now with that, where you get your citizen points, where you get rewarded for being a good citizen. They're implementing that. They're implementing a system which is a social rating for all of the citizens,
like Confucianism points or something.
So you're saying something like the government will fine you, so you're constantly finding out you're fined. But at the same time, you're constantly suing other people and the government back, and that sort of idea.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I think some people would have litigation as their main form of income. So, like, they're professional claimants.
Like a ton of class action suits, so everybody's in all of these class action suits.
Yeah,
they're like litigation trolls.
All right, that's really neat. Very strange.
So this is a very cool question for you, Tyler.
Oh.
What does a criminal's interaction with the legal system look like?
I have a feeling, since we're making a fairly ineffectual Imperial throne in that it doesn't seem like it's able to do its job well, I think that our Imperial throne has very little way of, like, enforcing its rulings.
Oh, that gets me a really dark thought. Sorry, I cut you off. Go on.
Yeah, so I think that probably the normal criminal's interaction is to, at worst, see they've deducted from your account. But more likely it's to receive a note saying, you owe a fine, you better come in. Or I think that the normal criminal has little to fear from, like, actual imprisonment from the Imperial throne.
Yeah. I might have my dream criminal justice system in this game. Holy shit. Which is I forget what it's called, but it's like when you like a proportionate criminal justice system where you pay a proportion of your wages for crimes committed to deter particularly things like theft and breaking and entering and stuff, because and then to make the white collar crimes ones of like criminal imprisonment, because rich people care a lot more about time than they care about, like, paying fines and shit.
I thought you were going to say you just randomly arrest a certain proportion of the population as, like, the proportionate, like, some of you must have done something wrong. 10% of the population must be imprisoned at all times.
Maybe that.
All right. So we have a proportional sort of legal system in that, it lays out fines in this, everyone is obviously doing something, but they have little enforcement power. Going to go with that?
Yeah, which I think really lends itself to the structure we have going on, because we have a government that doesn't super care about collecting revenue. So they probably don't care too much about, like, collecting fines. It's more about it's more about generating work so they can get paid from people who can actually pay them. And it's about, like, deterring, like, deviant citizen behavior. So I think, like, a proportionate system works quite well, because if you're a good citizen and making like rational person economics decisions, then you're not going to commit a crime if you can't pay for it. But then if you do pay for it, then like, yay, we have work and we can charge the state a ridiculous amount of money to go after you to pay your portion of fine.
All right, and do you have one you wish to answer yourself?
I feel like I've done so much talking already. I think I'm gonna give her who manages the normal everyday functions of enforcement and punishment.
Okay.
I kind of dig. I think I'm just going off of the tree thing because I kind of dig like how trees have rings, and in our the structure of our society, it's like we've always got the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary, which are kind of like rings going out of our own government, where you have like the people making the law, the people interpreting the law, and then the people like executing the law. So I think like I think the people who manage normal everyday functions of enforcement and punishment are called like the third ring, or like like the or something like that. And that
okay. So there is an executive branch that sort of is responsible for doing enforcement.
Because then we could make tree puns about the executive branch.
All right. And we've kind of established they don't do a great deal of enforcement, but do you see this as being something like they have a police force, or is it they just start suing you and filling your spam folders with all sorts of crap constantly?
Ooh, yeah. I feel like it's definitely less police and more like spam crap or like Big Brother, like people to dob you in kind of like the deal. It's like the information police, perhaps.
Okay. So basically they enforce through harassment.
Although, although we do have like a strong military. So it would make sense if there like is some muscle behind.
Okay.
Maybe sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. maybe there is like, yeah, like you're brutish. They've got like that stereotyped rep for being a bit you're brutish, like what do you call them? It's like the people who go to collect on debts owed and stuff. You're gonna break your legs if you don't pay back.
Gotcha. Like a loan shark?
Yeah,
yeah. The tier of loan sharks.
Okay. So loan shark / goons. All right, so they could show up at your house and say, your library book is overdue. It's time to pay up or I'm going to give you the whacking.
Exactly.
Right. Loan shark / goons. All right, so that's our legal framework. We probably, I'm going to try and push us a little quicker through these because we did take a little bit of time with that, but I'm loving doing it, so I don't want to be too far back on it. But Lauren, again, you get to start asking our questions on market regulations. And I would say, I think I'm going to narrow it down to either I'll answer one or you'll answer one. And so that'll cut us down to 4 people total.
That sounds good. In that case, I go from an hour players, I'll go reverse order with Ryan. Is there one central public marketplace, or are there multiple economic sectors?
It's a good question. Like, has Amazon taken over everything, or is there big laissez-faire market trading? We have established that they have a strong market regulation, didn't we? Yes.
Mm.
Okay, that idea was just too great. So yes, Amazon controls everything.
All right, so we have one central marketplace that sort of handles sales of everything.
Ah, that's beautiful.
Or
Can it
like
be
every
called,
shop is just their branding. I don't know.
can we call it like some other sort of warrior woman thing, like Valkyrie or something like that?
I was going to suggest like call it the Amazon forest.
Cool. If we're on, I guess, is Earth in this universe? It seems like it's a, I don't know.
There's a playbook called the Earthling, but we don't have it. So that'll be completely up to us. Okay, so we got a central marketplace there. Next question.
Ellen, what is the main cultural stance towards markets and regulations in the galaxy?
I think it's quite taboo to talk about it. I think everyone knows the markets and the regulations, and it's almost like wrong to question it. And are there numerous disagreements about commerce? No one argues about commerce because it's a little bit icky.
That's neat. So the idea being that we know that there's one big central marketplace, and we don't say, oh, why can't I sell my thing just to you? I'm okay with selling it to the Amazon forest or the Valkyries, and then they'll sell it to you, even though I could just hand it over the fence to you. We don't talk about that. That's just how things are done. That's cool. All right. Next, Lauren.
Oh, okay, cool. So if that's the case, since we've got a central marketplace and no one like talks about the central marketplace or anything, I feel like prohibited services are it's Etsy and small like homegrown businesses. Like it's illegal to have an unregistered homegrown kind of business trade, because that might spark up competition, which would turn this into like a competitive marketplace when we have gone for like unsanctioned markets are illegal.
Okay, so there's no private sales, everything has to go through there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to say there aren't unsanctioned markets and like literal black markets, but they're highly discouraged.
Excellent. Okay. Do you want to add anything like drugs or prostitution or anything like that? Or do you think anything can be sold as long as it goes into the marketplace?
Yeah, I think as long as it goes into the marketplace, you're fine.
Okay.
I mean, the marketplace might have like a veto or a say on what isn't allowed to be sold in the marketplace, but yeah.
Okay.
I think as long as it's approved by the market, then you're fine.
Okay. So we have pretty much everything for sale with some caveats of like the market, the Imperial Throne can say, hey, today we're not going to sell Venetian tomatoes. Those are bad for you.
Yeah.
Okay,
and I
cool.
think it makes sense, because like, why would you even need unsanctioned markets? Because you can buy literally anything, and like the all providing marketplace, it's so amazing and great.
Excellent. That's super cool. And so your last one goes to Lou.
Excellent. Let's go for. In that case, I kind of feel like we need to go for who enforces market regulations. Is there one primary organization, or are there several?
So are these market regulations still part of the Imperial Throne
All of
Society?
this is in that Imperial framework.
Yeah, cool. I kind of like maybe that it's that same, just to make it neat, that it's that same like third ring or whatever,
the executive branch.
Yeah, which is also seems to be the military strong arm, the executive branch, third ring executive branch.
Excellent. So it's the same that does the crime and punishment. They also are right there with market regulations. So
following the terminology that Lauren used, maybe it should be the judiciary branch.
Judiciary
branch.
Let's mute it.
All right. So that sounds like our answer. We've got same ones that are kind of doing our legal framework. Cool. All right. We're moving on to legal power.
Cool. Let's. Lou, how many military organizations are there beneath the throne's authority?
A good question.
So this is all still within the throne?
And yeah. This one's a fairly complicated front we're setting up here. It'll be the longest of the ones we do, honestly.
I kind of like. I think that what are we calling that thing? The executive branch.
Mm-hmm.
The executive branch. I think they're the major one, but I think there's probably like heaps of like all the different like types of law and specific types of market regulations probably have their own. Like saying, as we said, the military power is high. They've all got their own like enforcers of some type. And I like that perhaps they go and enforce on each other as well. So sometimes they're I like the idea that they fight each other. Yeah,
that is so great because like, visually that looks like a tree branch too. Because you have all the twigs that come out and like support each other to hold up the main branch. You know.
Excellent. So
and I like the idea that there's infighting as well.
Yeah.
I do too. So we have multiple of these military units. They work for all different sectors, kind of their own sector being primary. So, you know, the ones who watch trade couldn't give two shits about whether or not you're, breaking the, let's say, jaywalking. They're not going to stop you for that. Okay, that's cool. And they're somewhat in conflict. Cool.
I love that cover your ass mentality. I think fits in super well with like all of it's based on good citizenshipness and looking out for yourself. Not.
I think that's
so
cool.
You don't have to pay fines. That's so cool. Awesome. In that case, Ellen, is the throne currently engaged in any military conflicts?
Oh yeah, I think there's probably no major conflict, but I think there's probably a couple of little small off-world conflicts, mainly about when small worlds try and set up their own marketplace. I think.
Yes.
Excellent. So
totally
low-end territorial type wars, where they're going around and trying to inflict their will on this planet, or they're having to have a stronger presence in this one because they rabble-roused and threw their tea in the ocean or whatever. Okay.
Awesome. Then you're totally right. How independent are individual planets or countries when it comes to military expected to join their power to the throne during times of war?
I think yes. Every planet probably has its own military force to some extent because you have to back up your market regulation and stuff somehow. But it's supposed to kowtow to the imperial throne if need be. They're always on call.
Okay, so we're saying that it's kind of controlled by the individual heads of these things, but it's all supposed to fall underneath the throne. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, like that whoever's in charge of that planet would be in charge of the military, probably, but if the imperial throne needs something, then they kind of trump everything else.
Gotcha. Do we think, kind of like Rome, the governors of territories would have their own armies there, and occasionally they march on Rome and take over, and that sort of thing. Do we think that they give kind of just lip service to the imperial throne, or do you think they really actually, when the imperial throne says something, they really hop to it and do it? What level are we thinking there?
I think that varies between planets, but a lot of them probably lean more toward the they'll sort it out by the time we get there, given that it doesn't have really strong popular support.
Gotcha. Okay. So local oversight with passing submission to the throne.
Yes. Ideally, they should just drop everything and go serve the throne, but they don't in practice.
All right.
I love how this is such a grey, banal, like, oatmeal society.
All right. And so is there one in there you want to answer, Lauren, or you feel like they all been answered?
I kind of want to know, Tyler, who you envision runs this military and determines regular policy.
I think since we
I
have...
feel it applies.
I think that we have a... we're talking about this sort of split up military. I think we probably have like a council of generals or council of marshals that are heads of each of these little pieces of the military that come together, and they're supposed to work together, but of course they don't very well. They're all supposed to be serving the throne, but they don't really well, that sort of thing.
Oh
Sound
my god,
good?
like there are so many work groups and committees, and there are probably people on multiple committees that don't realize there are other committees because the committees don't talk to each other. But like every other month, someone's like, man, we should have a committee on this to figure out all these problems, without realizing that there's another committee over there that's set up to the exact same thing.
Oh my God,
Excellent.
Lauren, you know bureaucracy so well.
It's been working in government for too long.
All right. I'm going to try and power us through the Imperial Throne, and then we'll take a break. And then,
Cool.
like I say, the others are not as involved. Religion can be a little involved, but won't be over much. But let's get through this popular support and revenue collection real quick. Popular support, if we remember correctly, is sort of average. So
Average.
neither high nor low. Who would you like to ask a question to there?
Yes, I would love to. Ryan, what kind of social activities does the throne promote?
Yeah, that's cool. Do they have bread and circuses, or is the TV vids always showing the glorious leader, or what's it doing?
I'm just imagining like the most boring, bland things possible. But look at this exciting thing we have going for you. Like the equivalent of how my local university has a channel that's just lectures all the time, sort of thing. Like, understand your legal system. Super briefings with maybe puppets or something, where it's not as exciting as they think it is.
Oh my god.
So like PSAs, where they public service announcements that are constantly trying to rally you to, oh, we're all part of the empire.
Yeah, it's like sort of like an imperial PBS, but everything is about bureaucratic nonsense.
I have a suggestion too.
Yes.
It's like in New Zealand, they decided to stream like 24/7 Parliament TV, which like is for the most part just empty chairs. But it was like an attempt to show that we're being transparent about like all of the government shit we get up to, and it was so fucking boring.
Yeah, that's like C-SPAN here, where nobody watches it because why would you? Do you hate yourself?
I was just going to echo Ryan's university channel. Like my local doctor's waiting room has this Health Direct Plus channel, and so it's kind of like infomercials, infotainment, where they're not trying to sell you, they're just trying to feed health information and programs into you, so you can really feel that.
Although at the end of every one, it probably has a little brought to you by or whatever.
And like maybe
it's obvious.
Maybe there's reality TV of people going through really boring like legal procedures as well.
Like someone decided to challenge a parking ticket. This never happens. Riveting TV.
Like really boring Judge Judy.
Yeah.
Judge Jenny.
Judge Jenny. I love this so much.
All right, that seems cool. Next question.
Yeah, next question. Ellen, what issues are people concerned about that strengthen or weaken their support for the Thrones rule?
I just want to keep hitting on the litigation and the marketplace things. Gosh. Maybe hang on. What social issues?
Yeah, is there something in particular that people go around saying, fuck, this government is always in my way, and oh, that bugs me? Are there things that people go, oh, thank goodness they're here, or we'd have potholes everywhere, and look, they made these lovely aqueducts?
Or like, oh my god, if we didn't have the marketplace like approves all of our food, like how would we know what to eat if they didn't approve it as being good to eat?
Yeah, I
security.
Was gonna tap into that, Lauren, and say that thank you, imperial power, for our market system that we know and trust so well. Heaven forbid we try any other market system.
Okay. So you think it strengthens people to know that prices are kind of universal. There's something protecting them from being taken advantage of, even though, of course, it's a whole
because it's taboo as well. The marketplace is taboo. You don't want to. You can't, like. It's something very close to everyone, but like not well discussed. So it's good.
I can't wait to destroy all of these people.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I think that seems cool. I like that. That we have this taboo market. We don't want to talk about it. It's a good thing that the Imperial Throne handles this. We don't have to because they do. That's cool.
It makes me feel like all of our market products are stamped with like the Imperial seal, so you know that like it's been approved.
Excellent. All right. Next question.
Awesome. Who is a threat to the Throne's popular support? I think literally anyone is probably a good answer.
Surely we should bring in it's SWvM, right?
It could be SWvM trying to take over, and because the goal of our game is SWvM is trying to take over all three of these fronts that they currently don't have control over. Or she.
Yeah.
And Moonicorn is trying to avoid being hunted by and used by these three fronts. If SWvM manages to take them all over, SWvM has won the game. If Moonicorn manages to keep them from wanting to use or capture or to abuse Moonicorn, then Moonicorn wins.
Run, Moonicorn, run. Yeah, I think SWvM
We're done.
is. I think SWvM. How have they been? What was the exact? How much do I have to answer?
Who is a threat?
It's SWvM. That's it. That's my answer.
Okay.
That's all I'd ask for.
So SWvM, we feel like is someone who can get the people's support for them instead of the Imperial Throne, and that's dangerous, right? Cool.
Yeah. Oh my god, Ellen, I'm not quite sure what you had in mind for SWvM, but I'm totally envisioning like you're like, oh my god, you can taste things that aren't like bland, and like you can listen to music that's not approved and it's like offbeat and syncopated. Like that's crazy.
Oh yeah, maybe SWvM runs like the pirate radio from space. DJ SWvM.
Earworm.
DJ SWvM.
Earworm.
Yes. All right.
Awesome.
And so, Lauren, are you answering that, or are you throwing it to me? The last one.
Are there any questions that jump out at you, Tyler? Because if not, I'm happy with that.
Where we're at? I think I'm
Yeah.
pretty happy with where we're at too.
Awesome. Should we do revenue collection?
Let's do revenue collection real quick.
Cool, cool.
And we know
so
it's
they're
weak.
low. It's weak. Oh my god. Ryan, what are tax collectors like?
Probably sort of like the harried underlings in a real world law office. Like they're just trying so hard to do their jobs, but they have so much on their plates. They can't manage all of this. And they're not aggressive. They're just sort of apologetic. Like, I know you've got stuff to do and you need to be in court, but could you please give me your taxes now? Please. And everyone just kind of blows them off. You know, like refusing to play the paper boy or something.
Excellent. So harried and ineffectual.
Yes.
Marvelous.
Oh, this is so great. I love it too because it's, again, like tree metaphors. They got the strong trunk of the imperial tree, and then like as you go further out, it's like the branches get weaker and more like flappy and vulnerable.
All right, next question, my dear.
Awesome. Let's ask Ellen. Ooh, how easy or hard is it to steal from government revenue supplies?
Well, I think it is easy in the sense that these harried tax collectors aren't really doing their job, so they're not able to actually be effective, and they probably have so much work that they probably weren't checking the papers too finely. But in terms of actually like hacking in and like extracting things from whatever the coffers are, I think that's really, really hard. But just, you know, fudging your tax forms or just not putting your tax in at all, I think that's probably easy.
Awesome.
All right, so I'm going to put down easy to avoid collection, hard to actually steal from the treasury. Sound good? All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Next question.
And Lou, what kind of resources does the government collect? Is it just money, or does the government demand goods or services as well?
Ooh.
Oh. Yeah, I wonder maybe if there's a community service part to your taxes where you have to like be a tax collector, like as like part of those underlings. Like if you're like getting like too far behind, you have to go and work like as one of the law underlings collecting taxes.
Oh my god!
Like
oh my god!
But I think also, as well as that, I think the strong arm dudes probably do like bust into your house and take like your repossess your shit as well if it gets too like, I don't know, just because I want them to be assholes as well sometimes. Like you just come home and like all your stuff's gone if you're unlucky enough for you know that to happen.
You happened to get on the list and they just came in. You owe
Yeah,
back
but
taxes.
it's probably totally corrupt. Like it's probably more like you pissed off the wrong person at that office or whatever, and they've used their goons to come take all your shit. I don't think it's very well coordinated or anything.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
have two thoughts that I love about this. The first is like it makes it sound like instead of prison, it's this eternal hot desking.
All right, I'm going to put
which I
down.
think is super.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lauren.
Oh yeah, which I think is neat. Like, yeah, instead of prison, it's like, well, there is your assigned desk that you'll be hot desking at for like 4 weeks. Like, this is Brian, who is in for avoiding tax form A40B5. He will be here for the next few days before he'll be replaced by Tanya. We're like, oh, you don't know what Tanya did. Like Tanya.
Awesome. So I'm going to put down universal/indentured service, as well as confiscation, but it's sort of arbitrary in that usually you have it happen because you get in trouble with somebody more than the actual wheels of justice turn. Sound cool?
Yeah. Also, hot disking is the worst. So that's
all right, and what are the other two for you or I? Or you feel good about what we got?
Tyler, where do you think this revenue is stored?
I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one. I think we have a center of the government, a planet Coruscant, or that center of the empire, and I think they probably have a great big vault that is their main money. It's where all their wealth is kept. That'll give us the chance to go steal it if we want to. Yeah. But so we have like a vault planet. We have a massive singular vault where everything's held.
That's amazing. I imagine from like
like an asteroid or something.
Yeah. Okay, so a singular vault.
Oh my gosh. I can already envision like all of the ships flying around it to make sure it's safe.
So I think we've come up with a very complex and weird imperial throne, which seems to it's heavily litigious, and everybody's involved with suing each other and the government goes around, and we have one big marketplace, and if you try and sell things individually, they're going to come at you with their ineffectual bureaucracy, which is sort of arbitrary, and occasionally you'll get your knees broken because you pissed off the wrong clerk. And the military power is super strong, but it's way divided out, so it doesn't work effectively. And in fact, sometimes works against itself and each other. Popular support, or people are like, well, at least we got the markets, and we don't want to deal with that. And otherwise, they're kind of like, oh, God, this place is awful. And on the TV, we have PSAs going all the time saying, this government's great. We're going to stand here with Tom as he waits in line for the DMV. How would you like your driver's license picture to go? I hope I'm not staring. That sort of thing. And finally, they collect money, stick it all in one big vault, but they're not great at collecting it. And the people that are forced to collect it are the actual debtors who didn't pay in the first place.
That was beautiful. I've never heard such beautiful poetry in my life, Tyler.
And I think we'll take a break real quick. So why don't we go ahead, take 6 minutes. We'll come back at 5:25. I'll say we are taking a while on world build. I probably am not going to get to our intro sets, but we will have characters set up, and I had intended this to be a 0, so that's okay. We got started a trifle late as well.
Orange.
Ellen's going to try to play back there behind me now that she's plugged into the modem, so hopefully it will work.
Awesome. What a cute puppy. Oh! If I tried to put my doggie up on my lap, she would have a conniption. Oh. All right. So we'll be going through these hopefully a bit quicker. And Ellen will be our next up. We'll be doing interstellar travel. So we'll let her kind of get situated there. As I was saying to Ryan, we may end up finding that we don't get our first 2 intro scenes in. I think that's fine. I had intended for it to be a session 0, but we will get through all of our fronts, and we will be able to get all the character stuff set up. And so that'll be perfectly fine. And then we'll see if Tomer wants to be with us next week, or our next games. And if not, it'll just be us. That's perfectly fine too. It is going to leave, it looks like, our spice will be something. Oh, if you hear something growling, that's my dog rolling around on the floor. But we'll have spice, and we'll decide who we want to have running it. But for right now, we're working with SWvM, your interstellar transport. So 191 is our page. And what SWvM will get to do is you get to pick the regulations of all 4 aspects of interstellar travel. And you will choose whether they're monopolized, restricted, or unprotected. And as you can see there, it's knowledge of the transport routes and travel conditions, mail delivery, policing of transport routes and borders, and transportation technology. So since SWvM, you have control of these things, you dominate interstellar transport. So you should consider it based off of how you kind of dominate these areas and what you're allowing for in each of these areas. So, Ellen, what do you think knowledge of transport routes and travel conditions? Is that something that's monopolized by you and the interstellar transports? Or is that something that you have there are rules that go in there? Or is it just anybody could go out there and travel all they want?
Totally monopolized.
All right. So, do you own all the ships? And the only ships that are able to do interstellar travel are yours? Or do you just do you build the only ones that can be built, or do you have a guild? How do you see that monopoly?
We are the only ones that have maps. I control navigation and who gets to know what.
Excellent. All right, so mail delivery, is that something that just gets to go onto ships and be traveled without, you having the ability to like read through messages? Is there like tight beam messages that go across? Is it unrestricted so that anybody can expect privacy in their mail?
Monopolized.
Monopolized. All right. All right, so you have complete control over spread of information using interstellar travel. All right. Policing of transport routes and borders. Is it something that's done well, or is it just kind of free form out there and we have pirates and all sorts of things? And
look, I think if if we restricted where people could go, then they wouldn't want to use the services as much. So it's unprotected. Free
All
for
right.
all.
Excellent. And the technology itself, the ability to do these jumps, is that something that you alone have the ability to do? Can other people build ships, but you are the only one who has the means of navigation?
It's restricted.
So only certain people are allowed the technology to build ships to do it.
And they have to get direct permission from me.
Gotcha. All
And
right.
then buy my maps.
Excellent. Okay, so that's going to lead to some interesting things with SpaceWorm's rather tight coils wrapped around interstellar travel. Okay, and so what we're going to do first, before we go any further, is say, how does interstellar travel happen? Is it hyperdrives where we hit warp and go? Is it mental projection where we just virtually are there? Is it stargates where we have jump points to jump points? Or is it teleportation?
I like stargates.
I do too.
Yeah, that makes sense with your map thing, like opening them to the right coordinates and stuff. Like, yeah.
Okay, then I am going to, rather than have us ask each other questions coming off of that, I'm going to ask a couple of questions. First to you, Ellen, because you're in control of this. In Stargates, are the Stargates something that you can create new, or are they an ancient thing that's been here and y'all discovered it?
It's a combination of things. The Stargates are made of natural materials, but the arrangement of the components is patented.
Okay.
By you.
Goes without saying.
So you can create more, but probably it doesn't happen a lot. You've laid out your set, and just occasionally when you need a new one, you'll make a new one.
Yeah, and like some people might want to build a Stargate after they get permission.
Okay.
I will allow that or not allow that.
Oh, okay. All right, that's very cool. So they have to kind of kowtow to SpaceWorm to be able to make a Stargate. Cool. All right. How about what are the dangers of using the Stargates? To you, Ellen?
Yeah, well, it could be quite disastrous if you happen to plug in the wrong coordinates. Your body would be torn asunder, shredded across many different locations.
Or you just end up inside a sun.
That could also happen.
Okay, so if you have wrong coordinates, you can just be wiped away. Just whatever, without the right coordinates, it's a death trap.
And the coordinates are so complex as well that it would take a mega mind to memorize them.
Okay.
This is starting. I love it when games start to be like, like, I shot you. No, you didn't, because my armor's bulletproof.
And I want to ask, you, Moonicorn. Let's see here. I put my paper to the side, didn't I? I sure did. There it is. Moonicorn. What are the barrier? Oh, no. What do you dislike about traveling between the stars? What is it that you, Moonicorn, in particular, dislike about traveling between using these hypergates?
Well, it's terribly awkward because they're so controlled. You have to ask someone to set it up for you and fly through and everything. And I stand out a bit and don't really want that much attention. So I mean, it's like trying to travel through an airport without getting any notice. You can't pass through security without everyone realizing you're doing it. It's just such a pain.
Gotcha. So no privacy.
Yes.
You're picked out. Cool. Okay. So that's going to be our interstellar travel. We have these stargates. Pretty much every aspect of it, SpaceWorm controls with a pretty iron hand. And we can build new stargates if SpaceWorm allows it, gives that technology away. And Mooney themselves have problems because whenever they choose to travel, everybody knows Moonicorn because most famous and wonderful being in all the galaxies. So,
or Moonicorn in a really bad disguise, like a hat.
That's it.
You
like
never
Bjork
know,
trying to
sweet.
sneak through.
And I think that SpaceWorm would obviously have spies that would inform her of when her treasured Moonicorn was going to use the Stargate.
Okay. So SpaceWorm also knows when Mooney travels.
And just lets Moonicorn think that his hat is making it so secretive. No one could possibly know I was sneaking through spaceports.
Excellent. All right. We're now going to move over to Spice. So, Lou or Lauren, either one of you can take on Spice.
I'm kind of interested in it just because I was setting myself up as, like I said, the trade partner thing, and we've set up trade as such a solid thing that maybe this is the thing that I have as my advantage, that I'm able to trade. But I'm also totally happy for you to have a reason to want it also, Lauren.
No, I was gonna say Spice makes sense for you particularly because like your aliens are so entrenched in currency. So I think it makes total sense for you to take Spice.
And again, keep in mind, you're kind of doing these as players. You can bring your playbook into them, but these are open up and nobody really controls them. Well, I control them, but you're defining them down. So we'll let you then, Lou, kind of do some of our start off defining, and then I'll ask some questions. So on page 288, we have Spice. Galactic society requires the following things. Pick which ones are supported by and flourish because of the spice. You could choose one or more. Is it needed for biological life? Is it needed for communications? Is it for the material culture? Is it for the social culture? Or is it for transportation? In other words, something like with transportation, you got to have dilithium crystals to be able to get somewhere. So
or kind of like the Dune thing where the Navigators Guild need the spice to be able to like navigate through space.
Okay.
But no, I won't choose that because that's stepping on SpaceWorms. So I think I kind of like the idea that it's a social culture thing, like it's something that people partake of that enhances their socialization.
I got so maybe like alcohol or coffee.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing that everybody has.
Yeah, I like the idea though that it's got a really elevated actual social, maybe a slightly empathic quality, so people are able to. Yeah,
we'll get down to some definition of that. But so we got social culture, so it's kind of got this ubiquitous across the entire galaxy that everybody partakes of what our spice is going to become. Okay. Do you want to add one more in there, or you think that social culture is enough that feels right?
Well, maybe communications, like in terms of the empathic thing, maybe it allows some like other level of communication to occur.
That's cool, because then that's something, because this is a threat to SpaceWorm, and SpaceWorm is wanting to take control of it. So maybe it's a way people could communicate without SpaceWorm being able to dominate it through interstellar transport.
I don't like this.
Again, it's something that SpaceWorm is wanting to crush and take control of.
I hope SpaceWorm isn't sitting next to me when we play every week.
All right, so now we're going to choose the spices also. So you can choose all or none or some. We got that cognitive enhancer, so it makes people smarter. A psychic booster, where if we're thinking like maybe that psychic communication sort of thing,
Ooh,
psychoactive or drug. Yes. What do you think?
I kind of like, I'm for some reason capable of bending time and space around it. Seems kind of like maybe it's just for certain. I don't want
totally
that.
The navigators.
Yeah. Well, I don't want it to happen all the time, and maybe it's something that could happen as an event in the game, but like that it can be potentially used to do something quite miraculous. I like that.
Okay.
Maybe I kind of potentially maybe my ant people know about that thing but haven't shared that secret or something.
Okay, that's cool. Because again, opens up this potential that in rare cases, or if you just know how to use it right, it can let you transport yourself or project your
I like
image.
the idea of some teenagers like taking heaps of it and like accidentally like transporting themselves to the future or another planet or something.
I like that too. So
yeah, or perhaps like instantaneous transport would actually kind of be sending yourself into the past. You know what I mean? If you got there so fast, you would have actually kind of traveled back in time to be somewhere. Sorry, what are you trying to say, Laura? I'm excited about spice drugs.
No, I love it too because it's another excuse for me to drop a feature I'm referencing, which is in that episode where time keeps slipping, and Fry's like, "Look at my space like chamber, Leela, come in with me because baby, when you were out together, time stands still." But she's like,
I know all these references.
"Yeah, this is my game."
So we've got then that it's capable of bending time and space, which is pretty cool. Do we have anything else we want in there?
I reckon that's pretty good.
Psychic booster?
Psychic. I think we kind of
to be empathic.
Well, I kind of had that with the communication thing already in the other bit.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So, and what? How is it most commonly found? What is its form? It's usually in there.
I'm pretty keen on it being some sort of exuded from the larvae of my alien queen's brood.
Ooh.
Can I do that?
Well,
liquid form.
Again, we're trying to. It's not something that your playbook you personally control. It's a thing that's out there. That kind of pushes us over to a side. It could be that your people do produce it, but it's ubiquitous to the galaxy, so it should be
so you're
out there a lot to be used.
Damn it. Let's say that it is in multiple different forms then.
Excellent. Okay. So it has there's something about it that it can come out of, like your people can exude it. It could be mined. It could be a gas.
Like I'm thinking of it as some sort of protein chain that can grow on various things. It's like space kefir. Space kefir.
Just the way that you described that, Tyler, you're like, it could be something that you exude, it could be something my exude, it could be something
exuding. Okay.
All right then. So I like that. So it's a protein chain that your people and certain people across the galaxy can produce. That's cool. All right. And now looking at spice, the spice questions I'm going to just ask here to Moonicorn. Why is spice so important to you personally? What does it do for you?
What else does the spice normally do again? It gives you potentially psychic powers if you have secret know-how.
You can also potentially travel through time and space with it.
Okay. So the spice is important to me because if I could, get enough of it and figure it out and everything, then I could travel where I wanted without having to move through the space worm's horrible tyrannical clutches.
All right. So when you have enough of the spice, you're able to go where you want without having to depend on SpaceWorm.
Yeah, and without having to like read my email and that kind of stuff, I can just send people that stuff.
Right. Excellent. I love that. So when you have it, have spice with you, you can communicate and travel. All right. Kate and travel. That's cool, because we do want a way that Mooney can get around on their own without having to just rely on old SpaceWorm. So that has put spice to the side. We're now going to do religion, and that is you again, SpaceWorm. And this one we're going to kind of, since SpaceWorm, you are in control of it, you control everything about the religion. So you choose one of, and this is page 228. Competing religion. Every planet has a different religion. There's a monolithic faith that dominates all religion. There's organized monastic tradition, or there are thousands and thousands of small cults.
There is competing religions. They do what did I figure out before? Okay, yeah. So each religion has to have its content and causes approved by the SpaceWorm, and to also need to acknowledge that our resplendent first mother is their first saint.
Ah, first saint. Okay.
Stupid SpaceWorm.
All right. Cool. So you're like the final authority. You are the blessed one. You're a saint, and they all kind of look to you to.
Yeah, and it's all right for them to all compete amongst each other. That's fine. But in the end, oh no, we've lost Lauren forever.
Oh, she's back. All right. Then I'm going to ask real quick from you, SpaceWorm. Functions of the this zone 231. Functions of the government, or of the religion. Do they, you could see they have a whole listing of things. What sort of functions does it fill? Does it do is it teacher? Do they teach? Do they fight demons? Do they promote the state authority? Probably not, since you don't control the imperial throne. Do they do social welfare or cultural knowledge?
Art patronage. They can have the arts. Medicine. We need a bit of medicine.
Okay.
And some light behavioral conditioning.
Excellent. All right. That seems very cool. So we have this religion based on you as its greatest saint, which patrons the arts, kind of does behavioral conditioning to where, of course, everyone believes that SpaceWorm is this great saint of the religion. Charity work to make people believe that SpaceWorm is a good thing. Medical services, because you want your worshippers to keep living. Philosophies, then. What kind of do you think fills in there? Is there an afterlife? Are there prophetic visions?
Prophetic visions.
Ooh, nice.
Involving our resplendent first mother.
Okay.
And higher dimensions. Let the plebs feel like there's something more.
Gotcha. So there's kind of like reaching nirvana. You can work your way up to
Yeah, can't focus on doing that in your imagination, and we'll worry about the real world.
All right. And any symbols in particular that you see for the religion? What does it look like? They suggest we roll a d6 for line and a d6 for for where it is across if you want to do it randomly. But if you'd like instead, I'll let you choose. What is the symbol of SpaceWorm's religion?
Ooh. I'm kind of tempted to go for the narwhal.
Ooh,
With the horn.
Yeah.
Confusing.
that's neat.
It could be why I'm so attracted to Moonicorn.
That makes perfect sense. That's lovely. All right, and now I'm going to ask a question to you, Moonicorn. What do you think of the secrets that religious authorities keep? What do you, all of this overarching and space worm worshipping sort of religion, what do you think of the secrets they're keeping? Do you believe in this religion? How does Moonicorn look at the religion of the First Mother?
I mean, I suppose if people get something from it, then it works for them, but it all feels a bit overwrought and obfuscatory to me. I don't personally follow it. I wouldn't tell people they can't, though.
Gotcha. Okay, so overwrought, but, people should be free.
Yeah. If they find some use in praying to the space worm, then more power to them. But
all right. Neat. So we have set up all of our fronts, and it only took 2 hours. Oh. All right. I do love setting up these fronts, though. I think we have a neat galaxy we've created.
I'd personally be happy just to play world building for 4 weeks. I love this shit.
I love world building. But now we're going to get to our actual characters, because I think that's going to be fun, too. So, let's see. I've got Space Worm, Moonicorn, the Alien Queen, and the Lover. And I'm going to start with you, Space Worm. You see your moves there on your player sheet. So you have all of those. You have your power, which is your only stat. You can see how you gain it and you lose it. Whenever you start at a place of power, you're going to be at top. You're going to have your stat way up there as high as it could be. As long as you're in a place of power, it's going to constantly be up at the top. Every time you start a new action, it's going all the way back up to the top. You can see amongst your kind of interesting moves, you'll use it a little bit like a currency. There's some things that'll let you use your power. And your every playbook, your moves, there are no basic moves in this game. The only moves you can do are the ones on your playbook. And every playbook has different ones. So some people cannot go and actually do violence on folks very easily, like the Lover. Not someone who can just go up and beat folks up. Instead, the Lover defends in a lot of cases, or seeks revenge on people with their basic moves. But everyone has slightly different ones. But we're going to go over here to your bonds, because I think that's the really neat fun. You'll notice that in this game, we have a help and hinder, or a help and interfere. And you, Space Worm, get to choose. All the other players are either currency or treasure. Moonicorn is always treasured. That special little snowflake that's out there amongst the cosmos. You cannot help but treasure dear Moonicorn. Now you must decide, however, the Lovers, are they treasured to you, or are they merely currency? Or the Lover?
Get down, Porridge.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Mike's on. Treasure.
Wonderful. I think that's going to be very nice.
I'm totally going to be currency, aren't I?
You're totally currency.
And so the Queen
Your currency to me.
is your currency. And you'll notice that you can only help those that you treasure. You can only hinder or interfere with those that you consider currency. And you're going to get to use or pick a special move. That's your kind of neat defining extra thing that's over there, and kind of look through them. what we'll do is next session, of course, we're going to get into play. We'll go straight into play. We've done all of our cool world build. So we're just going to hop right into the playing then. We'll play that session. That will be when I kind of consider us at our halfway point, and we'll get to choose another ability off of this. And those will be the only 2 abilities we have for the game. So kind of you could think about the 2 you're going to want, but what are you going to start off with? And if you want a second, I can certainly give you that, and we'll go down and do other people's bonds. Would you like a second, or do you have one you like?
I like the idea of the exclusive collection.
Excellent.
One collector option to be exclusive to my. Oh, hang on. This is different to the quick play. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Oh. Ooh.
And you can pull up. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, it'll be on the quick play once it's in our folder that shows which ones they are.
The quick play's in there. I was just having trouble pulling it up properly.
Okay.
All right, Hoarder.
Hoarder.
Hang on. Yeah, no. Sorry.
Do you want a second?
Yes. There was the one in quick play that said something about when someone looks at your treasures, when you show someone their treasures.
Yes. That's the collector. That's collector. You have a vast collection of valuable items. When you show someone this collection, they will inevitably find something they want. And that means you could then, of course, bribe them or tempt them or whatever.
Yes.
That's one there. Like that one?
Yeah, I do. And yeah, that's not in the plain text. That's just in the
That's just in the quick start playbook.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And here in a minute or 2, I'll stick that into your special moves for you on the character sheet.
Thank you.
All right. So we have made our space worm there. Sitting on a hoard of gold is the first mother. All right, Moonicorn, we're going to go over to you. Your stat is integrity, and you'll see in the character keeper, it tells you kind of how you can build it up and how you can use it for neat, nifty things. You also can lose it when you do things like attacking someone unprovoked or having sex with someone or killing someone. So you have that as your stat. You have your moves down there. And again, if anybody, when they look through them, they have any questions, feel free to ask, put it in the chat or hit me up between going through people. You have your gear there, Moonicorn. So you should look at that, decide something you would like. Guitar, a lightsaber.
I'm taking a lightsaber because no one can stop me.
Hell no. That's right. Lightsaber for you. And your bonds. You answer one of the following questions with the name of another player character. You can take as many as you'd like. I might not would want to take them all, because do keep in mind that's going to draw you in. But you can take as many as you want. But go through and just read them out and say who you want to put in there, and then the two of you kind of discuss how that works out.
Can I go for who have you heard the most stories about and the alien queen?
Ooh, all right. So, alien queen, what sort of stories has Moonicorn heard? And then Moonicorn, you'll tell us a story you've heard about the alien queen.
I think it's probably just the story of all of the other queens being killed, and that there is a young queen out there somewhere. Like, it's kind of this, like, is she real or not kind of thing.
Oh, cool. All right. And Ryan, what other story have you heard about the alien queen?
So, assuming I'm allowed to, because I define everything about myself, I guess. I'm like the last of the Moonicorns, and I totally heard this story as, oh yes, so there's this other species that was once great, but is reduced, and yet there's one out there somewhere rebuilding, And I know that they are, great and powerful and can exude this spice and everything. And clearly, I don't know that her brood is unusually small or whatever. She's got to be the best. I don't think only awesome things. Probably that they can, with their psychic powers, control people's minds, throw stuff. I don't know.
Cool. Okay. So the last of their kind and super amazing. Neat.
Yes.
Okay. Another question you want to ask on somebody? And this is a currency for you. You'll note down below it that at times, if you wanted to use your integrity, you could burn a bond with someone instead of using the integrity.
Trying to find an appropriate one for the lover because I don't know all that much about our sexy Groot yet.
I can give you some information if you wanted.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. So I fully had in mind this tree alien species being typecast as the grunts who have to do all the violence upon people to get them to pay their fines and stuff. I think that's their role in society. So they've got this reputation for being quite violent and gruff and brutal, and made of hard wooden exteriors, and they don't feel emotions. But I think that is quite the opposite of what this tree person is in reality. They're quite supple and have a lot of deep feelings. They're not so good at expressing their feelings, but they have a lot of them, and they care a lot about people and life and all of that kind of stuff. So there's that. Yeah, that's.
Then I'm gonna jump over to you real quick, Lauren, and ask, what do you love about Moonicorn?
Oh, so many things.
But yes, that's for your bond with Moonicorn. What is it? What is it you love about Moonicorn?
I think Moonicorn was the first person to see me for who I truly am, and I find myself indebted to them for realizing who I am beyond the bark, so to speak, and their warmth and lightness is truly inspiring in a way I've only found in sunshine.
Oh, I love that. All right. So, Moonicorn, is there a bond you wish to give then to the lover?
I am going to say I feel most comfortable around the lover because though they may not be great at expressing their emotions, they clearly are deep feeling and have opinions on things and care very much about everyone. And I also do, and it's nice to feel that in someone else.
Nice. All right. Then would you like to give one to SWvM?
I took the one that probably made some sense for SWvM. Now I have to be clever. Heck.
Do you owe something perhaps to SWvM, or is there something you admire about SWvM? Or have you been friends, or were you longtime friends before fate had made you separate?
I go to SWvM for help when I need it. No.
It's possible. Again, we can be adversarial, but there are moments when you may find you need to work together.
I'm going to say I owe a debt to SpaceWorm, but SpaceWorm can decide sort of what that is.
All right. So, SpaceWorm, what does Moonicorn owe you? Or for why is this debt owed?
I'd like to say that Moonicorn owes me undying love. And is
that may be a little heavy on the strength of that bond. I would certainly give agency to Moonicorn over whether that's the case or not.
So why would I owe you undying love?
I'm trying to work on that. I think I'm working on your horn. I think maybe your horn was broken and lost its magical powers, whatever they may be, to shoot marshmallows. I think I repaired it using my my mineralization chamber.
Yeah, I totally had some sort of injury that like the Moonicorns would have been able to take care of were they still around and had to turn to you. Which also ties into the fact that you've got that opalescent skin and I've got this pearlescent horn. Maybe we're made of similar stuff.
I saw that. So like my skin is like opal. And so
nice.
I have more backstory that I've like thought about that stuff. But anyway, yeah, cool. I fixed your horn, and maybe undying love's a bit of a stretch.
Well, maybe that's what you think anyway. And now you owe me undying love.
Actually, no. Hang on. You owe me companionship. I want to have your company at dinners, sometimes when I go to balls. I deserve your company.
Okay.
Wow, that's a real nice guy TM stuff you've got there.
Well, and this is cool because, again, it's, SpaceWorm has the complete ability to burn this bond right away and use it for their own benefit. So there's a tacit agreement that since SpaceWorm helped heal you, probably in the last days of the Moonicorns, you came and it was SpaceWorm that helped you survive whatever took out your people.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's this tacit agreement that you show up for SpaceWorm's balls. You come in and you're supposed to act polite and sweet and, be buddies with SpaceWorm. And of course, that's going to have plenty of chances to change in our story. But it makes for a really neat story because we can start off with you not being diametrically opposed. There's this kind of friendship that's supposed to be between you, and this breaks down. That's a nice story.
I'm just seeing like package arrives on Moonicorn's doorstep with like, so there's a gala I need you at. Here's a new suit because you dressed yourself terribly. Be on time for once.
All right. Would you like to choose another bond? And again, there are currencies, so you might want to choose one, or you could say you feel good at this point. Anybody in particular you want to grab something to?
I can make more bonds with one person.
You can.
Oh my goodness. I pick all the bonds. I
You
probably
could.
leave some of them are Tomer.
You could do that. And you'll actually pick up more bonds after we finish for the first session.
I'm going to say I am trying to rescue the lover from, I don't know what. I was thinking SpaceWorm's clutches, but I don't know. What do you think would be appropriate?
Ooh, good question.
Base bureaucracy, boredom, I don't know.
Both those are good.
Yeah, I kind of feel like perhaps this tree person is a bit of like a rebel who has broken away from their lot in society, kind of. Like there's an expectation that they're gonna just live out their duties and functions as a government grunt, and they were like, no, I'm not cool with like hurting people and stuff. But I think like with that comes a bit of a price. So perhaps like they needed rescuing from those bureaucratic like executive branch members who were trying to track them down for dodging their work duties.
Okay. So there's like a social pressure on you to do these things. There's the actual threat of violence if you were to abandon your duties. And of course, the seductive Moonicorn saying, we can go off and be free and live happy lives. Why are you there doing paperwork?
Yeah, exactly.
Just eat this spice with me and we'll fly over.
Nothing about this sounds shady. Yeah. So I'm putting down that I'm trying to rescue you from societal expectations in your job. Does that summarize what you were saying?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Excellent. Think that's probably got your bonds there? You feel good
Yeah,
about
that's
those,
probably good
Moonicorn?
for now.
All right. And so you'll get to pick one of your special moves in there, and you'll get another one later. If you wish to take a second, you can. And again, keep in mind, you can burn bonds to rather than use integrity. And we're going to let everybody kind of put their looks up. I think what we'll do is at the beginning of the next one, we'll let everybody describe, and we'll do that introduction with what everybody looks like and their names and all of that. So, got an idea of your special move there, Ryan, or want a sec?
Man, I've been going back and forth because so many of them have such good fictional positioning. I'm going to go with Speak from the Heart, that I can communicate effectively with anyone and everyone, regardless of language, species, etc.
Excellent. That's a super cool one. Everyone
Totally goes with eating the spice all the time as well.
I keep putting out these grand, noble things. The Alien Queen keeps reducing them to my drug usage.
All right, we're going to
not
go to
gonna
the
treasure
Alien
long in
Queen. So we look here. You've got your brood. So you have 6 underlings plus 3 for each bonus point of brood. If we do with that, choose one. Are they birthed from your flesh? Are they brainwashed things? Are they an infection? Or do they pledge you allegiance?
It's definitely birthed from my flesh.
Excellent. I thought so. You can give them names. We won't go through
They're
your
called
names.
Nix, Knacks, Clicks, Clacks, Knit, Nude, Blicks, Cricks, Nude, and Dart.
Oh, that's fantastic. When I was talking with Patrick about the Alien Queen, he said, it's numbers, but it's 2 to 8 or 2 to 7. And when they complain about it, you go, well, are you ready? Are we ready for a number 8? Number 2? All right. Your stats are Alien, Brood, and Queen, and you'll see you get a chance to pick a suite and then add one to them. I'll give you a sec or you could choose on that.
Yeah,
Your
done
moves.
that already.
Okay. And your straight moves, you can see how they're set up. A lot of your stuff is really directing your brood rather than you doing it directly. Very hard for you to go out and beat somebody up personally, but you get awesome cool shit with all your brood doing neat things.
Yeah, I'm kind of picturing myself perhaps being underground anywhere, somewhere, and controlling the brood from the likeness. So I chose the telepathy move, which is you can communicate telepathically with each of your brood. You can see through their eyes, hear through their ears, and direct their actions.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. That's a good choice. Let's do with your bonds. If you would do a bond with every other player, and if then you have something in particular you want to add on, that's fine. But we want at least one for everybody.
Moonicorn hasn't been to my alien world. I think SWvM has been to my alien world.
Okay. So SWvM has been there. And does that mean that SWvM is aware of kind of your little bit of your secrets, or is it just that SWvM
I think
knows?
so.
Okay.
Yeah, SWvM knows where I am. And,
okay.
Yeah. Who has but Moonicorn has the same enemies as me.
Ooh, okay. is there any particular enemy that you share, or is it just should we come up with that as we go through narrative?
I think it's probably SWvM.
Oh, okay.
Because I was also gonna have a. Can I choose two for?
You certainly can.
I want that SWvM promised to help me get what I want.
And what is it you want?
I think it's a safe place to expand my brood.
All right, safety to breed. Okay.
I think what could be a situation in which the lover stood up to me and got away with it?
Ooh, what do you think, Lauren? Somewhere in your kind of as an enforcer for the bureaucracy, or you think that some other idea where you, like on a personal level, thwarted the brood?
It could be something trade related as well.
Ooh, so what's the wording again, sorry? When I stood up to you and...
Who stood up to you and got away with it?
Ooh. Yeah, I could see that being at a time where I was working in a professional capacity. I think partially because I like the idea of this tree person with a name badge or like whatever. Pinned to their bark.
I also like maybe you doing that. Did you say that you're one of the people doing the like enforced like sheriffing or something? What's your role in the...
Yeah, exactly. Like the enforced sheriff grunt work for when people don't.
I kind of like the idea of the Queen like contacting you via like the whatever method, like, and totally like contacting the wrong person or like trying to set up a trade thing, and maybe it was kind of accidentally standing up to me and getting away with it. You're just like, you know, she assumed you were somebody who was somebody, and you're just like, I don't know who you are or what I'm doing.
Yeah, for me, I also like it if like I like the idea of when that happened, I lent into the societal expectation that I am quite mean and brutish and violent and threatening.
Yeah, and I was probably trying to sell something outside of an like accepted marketplace thing as well.
And I think for my character, that time is one that they look upon with regret and disappointment in themselves for living up to the expectation that they need to be threatening to do their job.
That was probably the first time the Queen had ever reached out from a like small safe thing to try like trade or interact with people, and you're like
smash it down.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of guilt associated with that as well for when I stood up for it and got away with it, but I feel really bad about it.
Yeah, I like that idea of them meeting up in different circumstances. Like, hey, wait a minute.
You're that asshole.
I remember you.
You're mean to me. Yeah.
That's excellent. Okay, and for your help and interfere, keep in mind that you do that through your brood. So when your brood is there, they can help or interfere. And you took the telepathy, which I think is an excellent one because it lets you really use that brood, and that's super cool. All right, we're going to get over to the lover, who is our last one on our list. You will see that the lover has love, peace, and war as their stats. They have an array there, and you get to add one. You see your moves there, and they, again, kind of lean away from outright going in and beating somebody up. You usually have to kind of have a reason, or you're defending something. You are good at asking favors. That sort of thing. I love you're alone with someone, which allows you to get the fascinations on them, and you use fascinations to kind of power your stuff. I think that's super cool. So we're going to do your bond with SWvM, since we already have one with Moonicorn. What do you love about SWvM?
I love SWvM's conviction for standing up to the Imperial throne, for that is something that I could not do, not with others, let alone by myself. And so the fact that SWvM is the face that combats the Imperial throne is just very like alluring. I'm smitten. I'm not sure if I want to be with them or be them. It's a bit confusing sometimes, but I wish that I had that same strength and courage that they possess without having to be violent and threatening.
That's fantastic. I like that. So, SWvM, so there's that admiration of your strength and how you don't get moved around by this horrible, silly bureaucracy. You do what you want. I do what I want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, Lover, why don't you go ahead and hand out a bond to each of the others? And if you want to add one or two more on, that's fine too. Actually, the one other, it'd be Lou. And then you could add something else to someone else if you'd like, and maybe leave open space for Tomer.
Cool. Oh, these are all so good. I think Moonicorn is my best friend.
That makes sense. They'll share so much.
Yeah. But yeah, and I think that sort of lends itself to this love of Moonicorn that sort of it's not platonic, it's not romantic, it's just this all-encompassing like love and sense of sunshine and warmth, and I can feel all of my branches like opening up and thriving in their presence, and just being with them gives me so much life.
Excellent. All right, something for that alien queen.
Yes. Ooh. I think these are all really good. I think I want. So this is for the alien queens or SWvM? Alien queen. Okay, good. I think the alien queen got me into trouble. And I think it was a direct consequence of our little interaction we had back when I was in my previous job.
All right, so you stymieing the alien queen actually got you in trouble with the bureaucracy because it was supposed to go through, sort of thing?
So, yeah, I'm not sure if Lou wants to add to that side of it, like how you may have gotten me in trouble after I
think maybe I think maybe like a year later after I'd gotten over the sadness from being shut down in my first contact with another race, that I called back and got somebody higher up in the thing and like probably mentioned it, and like they tracked it back to you. And I think what I was obviously, I had all this spice to trade, so when they found out that you'd like shut that off, they were like
Oh, I love that so much.
What did you do?
Yeah.
And maybe I've decided to charge them like double what I initially would have charged them or something, just because of like, yeah, having my feelings.
I love that so much. Like I told it, so perhaps it was yeah, like I was following the rules to the book as I was told to do, but what matters more in business is not the rules, but like what you could make off of it. And perhaps like that like shit flows down when you're in a fucking hierarchy, and so they needed like someone to blame for like this increased cost of spice, because this place doesn't have a lot of like money to throw around. They're spending it on lawyers and shit like that, so they can't waste, and military, they can't waste it on like products that they're owed anyway, as is their right as the marketplace. And so yeah, that shit traveled down to me, and maybe that was like what inspired me to be like, oh fuck this, and just leave.
Excellent. All right. Do you see another one you wish to use, or you think you've got your bond set?
I think I got my bond set. I was toying with like wanting SWvM on my side, but I think it's more like I see this character as being more of one of servitude rather than come over and join the light side. But how do you feel, Ellen?
Yeah, servitude. I don't feel like, you know, we work together.
We'll see how that goes once you get fascinated. All right. So we've got your bond set. Of course, your help and hinders are wide open. You can do them to anybody pretty much whenever you're there. As long as you got you roll with your bonds. You can roll with a 0 if you don't have a bond with someone, but you have one with everybody, and you have 2 with one person. And you have your special moves. Any of them appeal to you right off?
Oh, like all of them. I'm
really ISS. I'm in distress.
Oh, I know. At least an answer is so good. I'm honestly like really torn between fascination and spooked, just because mostly because spooked. I like the idea of being a tree person who can just like wrap their big tree arms around someone.
I'll tell you, that spooked, I think, is the coolest move. I love that when you're embracing, the whole galaxy can be exploding, but you'll still be safe.
Yeah, and I kind of like flipping that move on its head a bit, because it says when you're in someone else's arms, but I like to think this tree person is big enough that like you're never in they're never in your arms, you're always in their arms, and like this big warm tree hug.
Okay, you want to take spooked then?
Yeah, I'll take spooked.
That's a good one. I like it. All right, so make sure to set your stats, and can fill up the character keeper. I'll go through, and if people haven't had a chance to put things in, I can go in over the next week and do so. And we've hit our time, so I think we're probably going to wrap up here. We got our universe created, and it is nifty. I really like this universe we've made, this galaxy we have out here. I got to say, I love how SWvM seems to have dominated this place. You know, the idea of this religious godhead standing, plus the ability to control all of the the movements here. That's a really strong power base for SWvM. But it also does a neat, cool thing of we've got this bureaucracy, this imperial throne that's still at odds with SWvM. So SWvM wants to go in there and take it. We have the spice itself, which is uncontrolled by SWvM, which obviously will want to go and grab. And we have the what's our other set? Aliens. We have these aliens that are all over and ubiquitous, and SWvM doesn't have control of these myriad aliens out there as a whole. Something that will want to dominate and control eventually. I like that Moonicorn seems to have a setup where I can see the Imperium wanting to take you and use you to maybe raise their standing. I can see where you could be in the desire of the spice folks to give you spice so they can use your special abilities when you got it. I like the kind of idea of You know, when we deal with the what was our other one? The aliens. I could see the aliens thinking of you as this rallying point. You know, the last of the Moonicorns that will stand up and help the aliens. Because, again, what we're doing, our theory is SpaceWorm is trying to grab hold of these three things and have complete control over them, thereby dominating the whole galaxy. Moonicorn, they want to use you for their own ends, and you have to figure out a way to either placate them or stop them wanting to come after you through threats or however means, or even if you go in and kind of change their minds and, you know, make it from where they aren't chasing you to where you're leading them in a way. We'll get through all of that in play. I love our alien queen. I love our lover. Think it's going to be cool. Any questions anyone has as we wrap up? Ryan, do you have any questions or any thoughts as we finish up?
I don't think so far.
Cool. Ellen, any questions or thoughts as we wrap up today?
No, I'm just so excited to dominate everyone.
The same, but the opposite.
To not be dominated by everyone.
Lou,
Yeah,
any thoughts or questions?
I'm just, I'm really excited about the group that we've got to play with, and the characters all seem really exciting, and yeah, I'm really happy with where my character's positioned in it. It's like that seemed really, and the connections between all the other characters like seem really good. So yeah.
Cool. And Lauren, any thoughts or questions?
Only that I already feel like I'm in love with everyone, so I guess I am definitely in the right headspace with the lover. All of your characters are amazing, and I really like. I'm such a oh my god! Like I'm gonna be upfront about how much I love the idea of this really innocent, like sweet Moonicorn being fascinated by like an equally naive sort of like tree person. I feel like that's gonna be a very like sweet but sinful, like tempting kind of relationship where the tree person is like, yeah, trying to get with Moonicorn, but in like a real sweet kind way, and then also like kind of throwing themselves at SpaceWorm because they're kind of a huge fan of SpaceWorm and wanting to sort of like be indebted in servitude to this like strong character, but being so torn because like their life and love is Moonicorn, who literally like breathes life into them. So I can't wait to sort of like explore the nexus of that messy relationship and the sexy ant queen. I'm really looking forward to like us going like, oh fuck, it's you, and like navigating all of navigating all of like the misconceptions that we have about each other. Because I think you're a fucking snake, and you think that I'm this like mean, awful, like emotionless tree person. So I can't wait to like unlearn all of the awful things that we know about each other.
I love how to some extent, with the exception of SpaceWorm, we're all kind of fish out of water flailing around and expecting everyone else knows what they're doing. And then SpaceWorm's over here going, I know what I'm doing. I've got my own religion.
Totally.
All right, so next time around, what we'll start off with is SpaceWorm in her place of power, showing and displaying this absolute control when something ain't right amongst one of those three fronts. And I will present to us a trouble amongst the three fronts that are out there that SpaceWorm doesn't control. And I will also, once we have that happen, we'll have that scene. We'll decide who's in it. We'll have that interaction where SpaceWorm sees the first crack of something going wrong. Then we'll jump to Moonicorn, who is finding out somewhere in that trouble that's coming after us, they're in particular coming after Moonicorn. And we'll see Moonicorn right in the middle of the action, causing all of that rebellious excitement and chaos that Moonicorn is known for. And I will come up with our troubles, which, each front of those three is going to have a thing they're doing. What it suggests to me is that I come up with like one of them that is really active at the moment and maybe a hint at a second one that's involved or behind it. And then once we settle that first one, we go into the second one and see maybe where the third one is involved. It is entirely possible we will not get through all three of these fronts. Neither one of them will win, but we will certainly get to a satisfying conclusion where we feel like all our characters are come to a big climactic moment, and who knows what will happen then. Will SWvM have a heart of gold inside of there, or will Moonicorn fall to the pressures of this dark and terrible galaxy? All right. Thank you all for playing so much. We will be back together next week, and maybe we'll have another folk.
Woo, thank you so much for running this, Tyler. I'm loving everything already so much.
I love it.
You're all
too.
amazing.
Take care, y'all. I will see y'all soon.
Bye.